Merry Christmas everyone. It's me again. I do a monthly Q&A on my Patreon and thought I would share one of them. It's in a new format I am experimenting with, so please do give me your feedback. I suspect elaborating in detail while sequences play out might be a better way to convey ideas. Let me know. Hope 2017 was a good year, and happy holidays to you and your family. Anyways, let's begin. Pietrek asks,
what is a good way to break through frames and defensive postures from the bottom when reaching for the underhook? Currently, I am working towards lapel single, a la Bernardo Faria, from half, and often I get framed on the neck. Opponent postures up and denies entry. Any advice?
If we are going to use artificial voiceovers, we might as well have some fun. You do realize, just as I am faceless to you, you are faceless to me. So why can't Pietrek be a British guy? Or a robot even? No offense Pietrek. Piotrek. Piotrek. P.O. Track. Never mind. Anyways, back to the question. Bear in mind that Bernardo Faria is not strictly looking for an underhook. I.e., like when Lucas Leda does his half-guard sweep. Many times, he first traps the leg by threading your lapel. When that is secure, all the various sweep sequences you have studied will come into play. So build the position in steps. If you can't get the underhook, get their lapel threaded first. You should always be able to thread the lapel even if they have flattened you with frames. Once you have that, it is really about finding a way to get to your knees to sweep. Remember, if the passer is posting on your body to frame, that means that he is unstable. If your body moves, the passer too has to move as his hands are on you. By destabilizing the passer, and forcing them to post on the floor, you can create the opening to sit up for the sweep. A lot of times, high-level grappling is about taking the marginal chances that present themselves. Many beginners suffer from the fear that if they cannot get perfect entries or setups, it is too dangerous to attempt a move. Hesitation leads to passivity, and opens you up to your opponent's offense. Part of the beauty of Bernardo Faria's sequences is that once he has threaded your lapel, he has a variety of chain wrestling moves to finish the sweep. But his key hurdle initially is always whether he can complete a technical stand-up once he has threaded your lapel. I have made a study on the importance of planting the elbow quickly when you want to do a technical stand-up. Likewise, as you fight him off, Faria is constantly looking to plant his elbow in the scramble, so that he can come up to complete his sweep. This ties into the reason why Faria threads the lapel, rather than trying to lock both hands up around the leg. By threading, Faria now has freedom to separate his arms to look for the elbow plant. With the elbow pivot, he can sit out and start the weight transfer to his knees. From there, he can look for the standard finish by standing up, or improvise with his chain wrestling, depending on how you react. As long as Faria can plant his elbow, he can go to the next step of putting his hand on the floor. Even if you are framing on his body, it is hard to stop him from building his base and getting to his knees. Once on his knees, it's a new scramble, and Faria's good wrestling instincts help him finish the sweep. Note how Faria has grabbed the pant leg but still looks to plant his elbow. This allows the hips to sit back and for him to do a technical stand-up. Besides this standard finish though, Faria has many others. For example, coming out through the legs. And in particular, looking to get his head on the outside and switching off to a double. Understanding the trade-offs from choices your opponent makes is key. If they choose to frame on you, they are choosing to make your body a base. If that base moves, so do they. If they post on the floor, they are stable, but they lose the ability to frame on you to control the distance between your bodies. Okay, moving on. Kenny asks,
what are good ways to use RDLR and noogie, and what are good ways to pass this? I'm having a hard time finding comprehensive systems on this guard.
Come on, don't tell me you don't think of South Park when you hear the name Kenny. Anyways, I can't really cover a whole guard system in a Q&A video, but I can tell you that the Meow brothers and Mendez brothers are good subjects to study for RDLR and noogie. In particular, to fully leverage the power of RDLR, you will need to be comfortable doing inversions in both the RDLR and DLR. The Meow brothers and Leandro Lo are big users of the Kiss of the Dragon backtake. In noogie, the Meow brothers are especially good at suddenly switching to DLR off RDLR, and inverting for the backtake. With regards to RDLR passing, Meow brothers are again good subjects to study as most of their no-gi opponents try to do RDLR on them. I have recently done a video on how they try to flatten or cover the hips in no-gi. So check those out as it applies to RDLR as well. One particular tactic I will highlight here though, is how the Meow brothers control the foot when someone tries to use RDLR on them. The Meow brothers understand that this foot can be used to pummel in, and create space, allowing bottom to recompose guard. They also know that if this foot is allowed to post on their hip, the guard player can push off and start to go for kiss of the dragon back takes. In these sequences, you can see how the Meows are constantly controlling the foot, or lower shin, to stop the foot from making contact with their hip. They will not allow a guard player to draw their foot in, for a knee shield, or to dig in an elevator. As long as they have control of this foot, they know that most of the inversion attacks of a guard player are impeded. Thus, similar to how Leandro Lo uses DLR knee posting, they constantly grab the foot and try to push it down. From there, they look for body locks, underhooks or cross faces. They also mix in leg drags and sometimes try to punch underhook for the knee slide. Because they have control of the foot, they can constantly level change over an RDLR guard player without being afraid of opening up space. They know that the RDLR player will not be able to make foot contact on their hip and suddenly invert under them. Do study the Meow brothers' recent no-gi matches. It appears like they are just scrambling, but they are trying to constantly do a few set things. I find they are one of the best examples of systematic no-gi passing at the moment. Okay, final question. Adam's question is about a match between Ryan Hall and Lucas Lepre. In that particular match, Ryan Hall gets constantly smashed inside control and is passed multiple times. Adam's question is similar to some questions asked by Andrew, on how to escape from side mount. I will thus answer them at the same time. First of all, Adam, no need to call me BJJ Scout. My friends call me Scout, so please no need to be formal. Secondly, the easy answer to your question is, don't fight Lucas Lepre. One of the best half-guard passers in that weight class. Need I remind you, he passed the half-guards of JT Torres and Roberto Satoshi multiple times, so Ryan Hall probably had it coming, the moment he stepped on the mat. Jokes aside though, Ryan Hall's doom came from not being able to stop a crossface. Not because he didn't know how to stop one, but because there were simply no crossfaces to be stopped. Rather than crossface, the moment Ryan Hall turned in, Lepre went for a headlock. Look at these sequences and notice how Lepre sneaks his arm around the back for a headlock. With the headlock, Lepre trapped Hall inside control and kicked out his legs for the pass. In order to use inversion you need to push off your hands, and typically you can invert early by framing off the crossface before it is fully locked on. With no crossface, you can't frame. Consequently, you can't invert. What is the solution then? Honestly, once a crossface or a headlock is locked on, getting out is always going to be an uphill battle. You have to get your arms in, try to build frames, and try to get some kind of a guard back. But if you look carefully, the question really is, how did Lepre get so close to lock on a headlock in the first place? At this stage of his career, Hall completely trusted his guard and inversions. He would accept half the moment you advanced on him. Look at the following sequences. Hall starts out in sitting guard. The moment Lepre closes the distance, Hall drops to his back and accepts a flattened position. When Lepre pressures in, Hall turns his hips sideways, trusting that he can invert out of anything. Instead, after being allowed to get so close, Lepre goes for a headlock. Guard defense is not just about what kind of escapes you use. Shrimping, framing and inversions are all valid escapes, but they are also predicated on you already being in trouble in the first place. Awareness of your positioning and distance is also part of good defense. Look at Paulo constantly keep a sitting guard position despite pressure from the passer. He knows that as long as he is sitting, he can rapidly move and back away into space. If he gets caught with his back down, the passer has a chance to go for a crossface where he will then have to activate defenses like shrimping or inversions. Even when his back is to the floor, you can see Paulo is always cross-collar framing preemptively. His defense starts early, and he does not even allow you to come close where you can suddenly reach out for a headlock or a crossface. Paulo is as flexible as Hall and is also a big user of inversions, but it is not his first line of defense. Alrighty, that's it for now my homies. Thanks for the support and keep the questions coming. Hope this was useful and as always, do let me know your feedback and suggestions. Till next time.